you are consumed by the scale, or even if you just have some little fear about that number that shows up, or if you are attached to the number that comes up on the scale, then you're probably holding yourself back from getting the body that you actually want and living your life to the fullest. Fears around the scale are super common, and that is why I want to address it in this video. I'm going to give you 3 tips to help you get over that attachment to the scale. Hello, welcome to the video. My name is Jodie and I help you change your beliefs so that you can change your body, your health, and your life. In this video, I really want to address the topic of the scale and your body weight, because I just know how common it is, especially amongst females. Like every female client of mine that comes to me tends to have this fear or issue around the scale, some kind of issue. Usually it's an attachment. So when the scale goes down, they feel happy. When it goes up, they feel like not so great. And it's so normal. I want to help as many people as possible to overcome this, because you're holding yourself back and it sucks. Probably stopping yourself from getting that body that you actually want by being so fixated on this silly number that comes up on the scale. Let's go through these steps I have for you so that you can help get over your fear, let go of that attachment, and make some actual progress towards that body you want. So the first thing you have to do to get over the fears around the scale or that attachment to the number is to simply understand the number on the scale only has meaning because we give it a certain meaning, and you have the ability to change the meaning that you assign to that number. And usually it's not really a number, it is, well, it actually is. So we have this idea in our head that, oh, if I weigh this much, I'm gonna look like this person, so I wanna weigh this much because I wanna look like that. Or we are attached to the direction that the scale is moving in. So if it goes down, we feel happy because we have assigned this meaning that if the scale goes down, it means we're losing fat. And if the scale goes up, we've assigned this meaning that it must mean we're gaining fat, so that's bad. Scale going down is good. That is what we're taught, like pretty much growing up from the media, the news, everywhere basically, because that is how we've learnt to understand the scale, and it's wrong. Like, it's kind of wrong. Obviously, if the scale goes down, it can mean you're losing fat, but it doesn't always mean you're losing fat. So just know that the direction it's moving in and that number that comes up only has meaning because you've given it a certain meaning, and it may not be true. I would say 100% of the time, the clients that come to me that have a particular number in mind of what they want to weigh, that number is always different when they get to their ideal body that they wanted. So very likely that number that you think you want is going to be different. Like, it's not going to be the number that you think it should be once you get to that body that you want. So the second thing, given that you know now you have the power to attach new meaning to the number on the scale, you have to understand what fluctuations mean when it comes to the scale. And often it's to do with water weight. So something that I think is very helpful and something that I get all my clients to do is to weigh themselves daily. And what this does is it helps you learn more about your body, and it helps you learn to just get comfortable seeing that number moving daily. And it will move daily. It's normal. No matter what you do, even if you eat exactly the same thing every day, especially if you're female, it is so normal for that number to fluctuate on a daily basis. Usually it's hormones, usually it is water retention of some sort, and it's not fat. So once you learn to understand why it's fluctuating, then you can assign a different meaning to those fluctuations, and just know that it's, like, a lot of the time it's water, it's not fat anyway. And even those quick fix diets that, you know, big weight loss companies try and sell you, right? they work by usually restricting a lot of carbs. And what that does is when you suddenly restrict carbs, you lose glycogen stores from your muscle and your liver. And what that does is it means then you lose water. So when you make good progress on those diets at the start, it's usually just a lot of water weight. It's not actually fat. So you have the power to assign a new meaning to that number on the scale and the direction that it's moving. And then weighing yourself daily is going to help you learn what those fluctuations actually mean. And I have an article. If you're female, I highly recommend you read it. It is to do with your menstrual cycle, and it goes into detail around water retention and how to like measure progress with water retention. And it will just help you understand your body better, especially if you are trying to lose fat and you have a menstrual cycle, which hopefully you do. So I'm going to put the link to that in the description box. I highly recommend you read it if you are female watching this. The more you understand your body, the more power that gives you as well to actually make changes and work with your body rather than just get frustrated by it. That is a bit controversial as well. Like a lot of coaches will be like, you know, if you're scared about the scale, don't weigh yourself daily, it's fine. But I think that's a problem because unless you address the issue up front, you're never going to get over it. You're always going to have that fear in the back of your head, and you're always going to be wondering, like, if you just say, screw the scale, get rid of it, and don't weigh yourself, you're still going to be wondering, oh, I wonder what I weigh today. Like, it's still going to be there in your head. So getting rid of the scale and not weighing yourself doesn't actually help you long term, in my opinion. Also, the scale is still a data source, and that's simply all it is. It's data, and it's helpful when combined with other forms of data, and that is how you get a really good idea of the progress that you're making. That brings me to my third tip for you, and that is to learn to see what progress looks like for you, what real progress looks like, because often we think the problem is fat loss, so we have to see the scale going down because we've assigned that meaning to it. But I would say, like, most of the clients that come to me, they think they have this problem that they're fat and they need to lose fat, and so progress looks like the scale going down, when in reality they might be overweight, but the problem isn't that they're fat. They usually have another problem first that they need to solve, and so progress isn't even really related to the scale. It's related to this other problem that they need to solve first. Once you learn what your real problem is and you start to focus on the progress that will help you solve that real problem and is associated with that real problem, that's going to help you get to your body, whereas the scale isn't. And it's also going to take the focus off the scale so that you can just take your body weight daily and not really care, because you know it's only a very tiny part of the story, and you've got this other progress that you really should be like striving for, because that is actually going to help you more than the scale weight. Let me give an example of this. A really good example is the skinny fat example, right? If you're skinny fat, you think you need to lose body fat, but in reality, your problem is you don't have enough muscle. So you need to focus on building muscle. The scale might not change, but what you should be worried about is your strength in the gym going up and hitting your protein target in terms of your nutrition. And that's what progress looks like for you. And that is what is going to help you lose that body fat and get the body you want. So you need to focus on your strength and measuring that progress and hitting your protein and doing it consistently. That is progress. The scale weight changing, it really doesn't indicate good progress for you if you're skinny fat. Another example is if you are a binge eater. If you're binge eating, yes, you might be overweight and you need to lose some body fat, but you need to solve the underlying problem first. And your underlying problem is your relationship with food. Unless you work on that, you are always going to come back to that behavior pattern of binge eating. You're always going to be stuck in that cycle, the binge restrict cycle, right? So even if you lose some body fat, you're likely to gain it back, or you'll get to a point where you simply just can't move forward anymore because you're still limited by that binge restrict cycle and by your relationship with food. So you need to work on that relationship with food first. Really, the scale doesn't indicate good progress for you, because good progress for you is learning to see food for what it is and learning how to eat things in moderation without going overboard, and getting out of that cycle and consistently like tracking that and tracking your behavior around food and how you're seeing it. And if you get to 30 days without having a binge, like that's progress, and that is progress that is going to help you long term. Whereas the scale weight going down, it really isn't good progress for you. So learning to see progress that actually is helping you get to your goal body is far more beneficial and will help you let go of the scale weight and let go of that number. And eventually it'll be easier. Like, it gets easier, it takes time, and you've got to work on it, right? Like anything that's kind of mental still takes work. It's not something you can just be like, oh, I'm just not going to care about the scale tomorrow. You're going to keep caring about it. But the more you work on this and go through those processes of understanding that you can attach a different meaning to the scale, weighing yourself daily so you can learn more about your body and understand the fluctuations and see that they're very normal, and then identifying the right kind of progress for you, the more you work on that, the easier it's going to get. And one day you will wake up and weigh yourself and not really care about it. Like, I promise that will happen, because it's happened to me, it's happened to numerous clients of mine. The scale really isn't important. It's like one little part of the story, and it's probably the least important part of the story. So if you want to move forward and stop limiting yourself, you really need to let go of that number. And yeah, I hope this video helps you do that. I have used these techniques myself. My clients have had success with them. So if you have any questions, please send me an email. I'm happy to chat about this, because I want to help you move forward and not be stuck. I know how much it sucks. Anyway, hit subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.